This is Unrendered on IKTV. I'm Tony Regisford, and as we continue with my guest, Senator Jomo Thomas, I would like to remind you that you can follow us on Twitter at iConcepts. Jomo, the ULP and the candidate launches or confirmations or whatever the case may be, you came earlier, but it seems now to be a bit of a one after the other sort of thing. There was East St. George, West St. George went before that, I think.
South Central,
Windward, South Central, Windward. At least those four all came in quick succession.
Well, remember when I went, it was the week of the 19th. It was Carlos James in North Leeward, and then I came on the 26th. Right. So we tend to do them in packages.
Right. So
but part of it is
this intentional to get some momentum going?
Well, not only you want to be able to milk whatever you can get from it, but it is also showing that there's a machine that is being revved,
right,
and that the machine is taking and picking up momentum.
But you're talking
because part of it is to mobilize and to organize.
Of course, you're talking about revving, but what is the danger here of peaking too early?
Well, we are not going to peak too early. We know when the elections are going to be. The question is if other people would ever peak.
Well, I mean, you may say that, but they are they're forced to be reckoned with.
Without a doubt. Don't get the impression
very close to winning the election.
Don't get the impression that I'm underestimating the opposition. The opposition has 49% of the popular vote. There's 7 of the 8 of the 15 seats in Parliament. Yeah. So this is a formidable force. But there are a number of things that, if we observe, they're clear for the eye to see. The opposition has tried to mobilize and to do mass activities over the last 4 years, and they have not been very successful. The opposition started a ring the bell campaign that simply fizzled after about 2 or 3 meetings. They are now starting some other meetings. They had a meeting in Glen recently that was not well attended. There's a meeting in Clare Valley tomorrow night.
Which is Saturday, because we're recording this program on Friday.
Right, on Saturday.
Yes.
They're going to have
Saturday
it on Saturday evening. It's going to be interesting. I heard some of the people on doing the public relations for it, talking about people are going to come from, inviting people to come from all over.
Right. So it's a mass meeting.
It's going to be interesting to see who show up and so on and so forth. But if you contrast that with when we had our launch of Carlos James in North Leeward on July 19th, that was a packed hall. When we had my launch on the 26th of July, that was a packed hall. Last Saturday,
and all the others.
All of the others.
But Jomo, the opposition and other people who may or may not be with the opposition put forward as an explanation why these protest actions or these opposition activities are perhaps not a show of force in terms of numbers, is because people feel intimidated by the ULP administration from a point of view of victimization. I'm just telling you, this is what is put forward.
Yeah. Well, Tony, the way I respond to that, is that I remember back in 2010, or the run up to the 2010 elections, there was this talk about a silent majority. The silent majority, as was reflected in 2010 poll, was indeed a minority, because this silent majority did not take the opposition.
So it didn't tip the scales?
No, it did not. Certainly, there may be a number of persons for a whole host of reasons say, boy, let me not tip my hat, let me not show. Probably thinking promotions, probably thinking security of tenure, probably thinking, look, let me get what I can get here. I have a family to take care of. I have a mortgage to feed. All of those things may cause people not to be open. And we see it. I distinctly remember, right, in 2010, as we got close to the election, people became much more vocal.
Right.
People in the nursing profession, teachers, wherever they were in the public service, they were willing to show their hands.
Right.
Many persons were shocked because they showed their hands and then their party lost. But they still maintain their jobs.
Right. Do you think that the NDP in 2010, as much as you brought it, had more, you brought it up, the 2010 scenario. Do you think, because I hear this said in some quarters, that they had more gravitas, as it were, then than they possess now?
Well, if you think about it, in 2009, the party had real momentum. I'm talking about after the November referendum of 2009. They had real momentum. If you had translated the referendum results, the opposition would have won, I think, 13 seats.
Yeah.
And they really thought that they would have carried that over. I think it is an absolute tribute to the machine of the Unity Labour Party and the leadership and the strategy team that they were able to pull that back. And it is true that the party lost 4 seats, but certainly was able to maintain government. In a parliamentary democracy, it doesn't matter whether you win by, once you have a majority, you can carry a legislative agenda, you can do all of the things that you want to do. So for the last 4 years, the Unity Labour Party government had been intact. The opposition had predicted that, oh, you know, it's going to fall in 6 months, it's going to fall in a year. Next week is going to be 4 years, and there's still another year. Still another year to go. There are many issues upon that people are talking about, but I don't think the issues are fundamentally different in 2014 than they were in 2010. I think one of the things that happened, fortunately, we have a lot of people have cable, a lot of people are reading, a lot of people have family abroad. And family abroad are saying, oh, you know, things are not as easy.
So they're understanding
cable television show them what is happening in England
and global economy.
Exactly.
Right.
People know what is happening in Barbados and in terms of the cutback of public service. They know what is happening in St. Lucia as it relates to the freezing of salaries. They know what is happening in Antigua and Jamaica and the Bahamas as it relates to the Moody's ratings and so on. So when we blow up something in St. Vincent, people get a chance to listen to the radio and know, oh, this is not peculiar to St. Vincent. This is an illness in the international economy. Standard & Poor's in 2012 downgraded the United States. Japan just went back into recession. 9 of the 15 countries in the EU had negative ratings from either Moody's, Fitch, or Standard & Poor's, the 3 major rating agencies in the world. So when you bring those to people, people get a chance to see, well, it is the responsibility of the government and its communication persons to convey that message to people that don't bother with these men, the opposition or women, when they say that this is mismanagement, because this is unless we are saying that the entire world is being mismanaged.
Right. Now, I want to get to some of those points in terms of bringing up the whole global factors that may impact or are impacting the economy and the performance of the economy in St. Vincent, and how that may determine the results in the next general election, how people may vote. But back to the candidacy of the ULP. And the NDP candidacy is known. They've declared all of their candidates. What do you think are the distinguishing or the differentiating factors of the ULP versus the NDP? Certainly for the candidates that are known so far and those that we think they're going to be.
Well, candidate for candidate, I think that the ULP has a more attractive team. The ULP certainly...
Why would you say that?
Well, let's take the persons who are coming on. You're going to have...
Camilo.
You have Camilo.
Right.
Who is clearly a bright, articulate, folksy person with a lot of experience in his youthfully.
Carlos James.
Yeah, there's Carlos James, another young person who is coming on. There's
Luke Brown is coming back around again. He's not just coming on.
He's not even 30 yet. Carlos is, I think, is 31. Camilo just tipped 40. I have been around for a long while. I'm a little older than they are, but have a lot of experience. People know my voice. People have heard my voice. People have heard me talked about a different issue. If you don't have that kind of attractive personage and the opposition.
That's Mackey, of course. I'm keeping it
yes.
in the sort of area where...
So that's what I think.
Relatively new, relatively young.
If we go and we look at the opposition...
but they've got young people as well.
Like which ones?
They've got Bowman, who is...
Okay, Mr. Bowman, yes.
Can't be an old fella.
Yes, Mr. Bowman.
I am thinking that Patel can't be that old, is he?
Patel, yes. All right.
Terence Olivier, again, he's not a man that's very old.
Yeah, but you know. Listen, okay. Think about it this way.
Ben Exeter.
Think about it this
Ben
way.
Exeter,
Think about it this way. Do you think that anyone in St. Vincent, I mean, I'm saying this respectfully, when they talk about the future of the country, are looking at Patel Matthews and Mr. Olivier, or do you think that?
I'm not in a position to answer.
Okay.
Right. Joe.
I don't think so.
I would reserve that as host of the program.
As compared to the young and bright and new persons that are coming on with the ULP, people are clearly seeing and talking about them in a particular kind of way in terms of this is the future. In fact, I think that the ULP should carry a campaign. This is the future.
So you're saying that's going to be based on those transformative agents. This is the era for transformation. You're moving from the old.
Well, we have an opposition leader who is 69, and we have a prime minister who is 68.
Right.
So, if anything else, biology is going to make sure
that there's some transformation.
That there's some transition and transformation.
Yes. And you're saying that the individuals that we mentioned, in particular yourself, Camelo, Luke Brown, Cess Mackey, Saboto Caesar, Carlos James, I'm not necessarily stopping at those 6, but certainly those are 6 that stand out. You're saying that is
candidate for candidate,
a demonstration of the ability to transition and transform.
Indeed. Indeed, that's my position. Candidate for candidate, the ULP is going to be more attractive. Candidate for candidate, the ULP is going to in its presentation, carry a campaign that is going to be unlike what we have seen.
How convincing do you think you can be? Because while you're doing that, and you know, you can romanticize the notion that, hey, there are these bright sparks in the party, including yourself, and you know, you hope that that message would resonate. But at the end of the day, you've got a tough economy, you've got high unemployment, as I'm led to believe. You've been hit by, or we've been hit by these disasters that have moved people from above the poverty line, maybe below, or some certainly into that stage of vulnerability. And so these are real bread and butter issues, which people may interpret as, they may lump everything together, and they may interpret that as bad governance.
Yes. And this is why I have said that this election has to be a teach-in. It has to be an election where government politicians explain to people. It's not one of those elections where we are all over the place, that we have to stay on message and we have to present the record. And as I showed you, to show Vincentians that what some of the difficulties that we're having in St. Vincent are not unique to St. Vincent, that many of these problems, downgrades, issues of unemployment, low or no growth, is an international phenomenon. And if you want to say that there's mismanagement that is the cause of it in St. Vincent, which evidently it's not, then we would have to conclude that the entire world is being mismanaged.
Joe, let's hold it there. At the end of the segment, and when we come back, I want to touch maybe on some of those same global or exogenous factors that may be impacting on your chances for winning the next general election when we come back. This is Unrendered on IKTV. When we come back for the break, we will be into our final segment.